Hello, everyone. We're going to be getting started any moment now. We are live. We are live. And hello, we got about 60 seconds before we get started. So glad to be here with you all. I am Nina Moore, and I pray that you all had an amazing week since the last time that we've been together. We're going to get into it. We have had a great time reading Born Rich, and I know last week Born Rich kicked our butts, right? So this is the time now to go ahead and send out that message to people to let them know that we are live. We're going to talk about seven-figure behavior, right? This is one of the reasons why I became a multiple seven-figure income earner doing what we're getting ready to show you today. So if you enjoy personal growth and development, you're ready to grow, learn, and earn, then this is the place for you. If you don't want to earn any more income, if you don't want to level up, if you don't want to become a better version of yourself, then this is probably not the place for you. But now we want to let everybody know that we are live. Send out those last minute reminders, letting people know that we are live. This is the place to be on Monday nights. I am Nina Moore, and I'm your host of the Hostess of the Mostest. I have been hosting book club now for 6 years, and this is a part of my life that we meet every single Monday, as long as there's not a holiday, that we meet every single Monday so that we can level up together. I started this book club right around the time COVID hit. And you know what? We didn't want to let it go, because what I realized is that there are people who want to grow, but they hate reading like I once did. And so we get together every Monday where we can learn together. Book club is so important because, one, you cannot pour from an empty cup. So I am here every single Monday to fill your cup. Now, I was supposed to be in Philadelphia right now, but some things happened today that didn't allow me to get there. So Philly, I owe you one. Um, don't be mad at me, right? The meeting is still going to go on. I was supposed to be in Philadelphia, but I did not make it to Philadelphia, but I am here with you. Number two, another reason why, and these are not in any order of importance. Number two, leaders are readers. And if you desire to lead in any capacity, then we must read. Another reason why book club is so important and leveling up and level of personal growth and development is because you're never going to earn more than you learn. I'm going to say that again. You're never going to earn more than you learn. We can never outperform our current version of ourselves. I'm going to say it again. You cannot outperform the current version of yourself. And it's something that my mentor said today while I was on my class. I take class on Mondays, every other Mondays, my entrepreneur speaker class. And something that my mentor said today that was so powerful. He said, you can't build a business bigger than you build yourselves. He said, you can't build a business bigger than you build yourself. That's what our mentor said. My mentor said he's a multi-million-dollar income earner, and matter of fact, almost 8 figures. And he said, you can't build a business bigger than you build yourself. And so we are here to build ourselves so that we can build our businesses. And again, I was supposed to be in Philadelphia. I wasn't able to make it to Philly, but it's okay. Philadelphia, the leaders in Philly are going to handle that. All right. So we're currently reading Born Rich. To those of you that are on TikTok, to those of you that are here with me live on Zoom, and to those of you on YouTube, hello to all of you all over the world. So glad to be here with you all. Born Rich, you don't even need the book to partner to join book club with me on Mondays, because I am going to read this to you, for you, with you. We're reading Born Rich. What this book is signifying is that there isn't anything else that you need. Born rich, you're born rich. So what I love about this book is not telling you what you need to become. Good evening, to earn wealth. This book is going to talk about now how we rearrange the things that are already in our lives for us to become the versions of ourselves that we need to be in order to elevate. And so we're currently in chapter 9. And chapter 9 is talking about not thinking in reverse. If you are excited about life and what life has to hold for you and offer you right now, let me just see some money signs in the chat, because this is level up season. And I don't know about you, but I'm certainly excited that I don't have to live life the way life used to be, that every single day I can become a better version of myself, a bigger version of myself. And if you're ready to become a bigger version of yourself, let me see some money signs in in the comments. Now, listen, don't be a gatekeeper. You want to make sure you share this link with other people and let them know that we are here. And now that they have the ability to join us on TikTok, on YouTube, and live on Zoom so that we can all grow together. So, as we're now talking about not thinking in reverse, not thinking in reverse, I want to talk about what the definition of the word think is. Let's look up the word think, because a lot of times we think we know what words mean, and when we look up definitions and we explain what a word actually means, we get a more vast thought about what the words actually mean. Think means to have a particular opinion, belief, or an idea about someone or something. The word think means to direct one's mind. Listen to this. To direct one's mind towards someone or something. To use one's mind actively to form connected ideas. That is what think means, that we're using our minds actively to form connected ideas. We have to think. The book is saying, don't think in reverse. Don't use your mind to actively form connected ideas in reverse. That is what we're talking about right now. Not going in reverse. So we're on page 159. We're in chapter 9. We read chapter 9. The beginning of chapter 9 kicked our butts, but it's okay because that is what we need in order for us to go forward. And thank you, Nichelle. I'm going to also make you a co-host so that you can let people in the room for me, okay? So we're at William James, who was born in 1848. He lived 1842. He lived to 1910. One of the world's most distinguished early psychologists concluded that the average individual was using only a small portion of his or her real potential, perhaps as little as 10%. Do y'all hear this? We're only using about 10% of our potential. Studies are proving that we're only using about 5% of our brains. Just 5%. So imagine if you're getting done what you're getting done with just 5% of your brain. We're only, Dr. Gloria, how you doing? We're only using 10% of our own potential. The book says he considered this to be one of his most important psychological discoveries. In this connection, he wrote, most people live, whether physically, intellectually, or morally, in a very restricted circle of their potential being. That means, did y'all hear? Let me repeat that again. Most people live, whether physically, intellectually, or morally, in a very restricted circle of their potential being. They make use of a very small portion of their possible consciousness and their soul's resources in general, much like a person who, out of their whole bodily organism, gets into the habit of using and moving only their little finger. Imagine, Dr. Valerie Hall, if we were walking around in life every day only using our little finger. That's what we're doing with our brain, which is why Bob Proctor is saying, do not think in reverse. He's saying one might have expected that in this modern age, James's findings would have been anachronistic, right? Basically, it would have been old. Unfortunately, this is not true. The sad reality is that most of us are continuing to live our lives in much the same manner as our grandparents did, because most of us have never trained to measure our true abilities correctly. Why? Most of us, and let's be honest, most of us only push until it hurts. And once it hurts, what do? We retract. Oh, come on. In the gym, once it feels like it's a little heavy, what do? Oh, we do less reps or we lighten the weight, because most of us don't want to push past what feels too hard. Just go, can I get a whoop whoop in the comments? Can I get a whoop whoop in the comments? Right? Because we don't want it to be hard. We actually want it to be easy, but nothing good comes from our comfort zone. Nothing good comes. You know when the best time to do something is? When you're afraid. The best time for us to do something is when we are afraid. When we don't have all the answers. It's like we jump and we grow wings on the way down. So the book says, unfortunately, unfortunately, it's not true. The sad reality is that most of us are continuing to live our lives in the same manner as our grandparents did because most of us have never trained to measure our true abilities correctly. Indeed, during the formative years of our lives, we have been inculcated with the belief that our results in school would determine whether we would win or lose in life. Now, this is where we get all twisted. This is where we get all flustered because we've measured who we are based on our grades in school. It's okay. It's okay. I know what I'm talking about. We've been programmed to measure how smart we are based on whether we got an A, a B, a C, a D, or a failure. And if we failed that test, it meant that we weren't very smart. When in all actuality, there's a whole lot of people who didn't test well who are brighter than people that test well. Well, it's a scientific fact. It's a scientific fact that just because a person doesn't test well doesn't mean that they aren't smart. But schools trained us to believe that we were only smart if we got a certain grade. We were taught that we had to hit that benchmark of a standardized test that they don't even give you a whole lot of time for, right? And that was the benchmark as to whether we were smart or not. So from the time that we were a kid, this notion has been fired at us from virtually every conceivable angle until most of us not only have come to accept it intellectually, but have become emotionally involved with it as well. The result is that the lives of untold numbers of individuals have been needlessly sacrificed on the altar of failure. We were taught that failure was a bad thing. And now you're in this entrepreneurial world where we're saying you got to fail, but when you fail forward. I don't understand why we actually believe failure is a bad thing when pencils were designed with an eraser. Even a pencil was designed with an eraser. Nothing is fatal. Because we fail doesn't mean it's fatal. We actually learned that failure means you tried. Failure means at least you tried. And you know what I learned about cheaters? Even at least a cheater tried. So failure means we tried. And as long as we fail, forward. You know what really it's all about? How fast do we bounce back when we fail? How fast? Because failure is the classroom to success. And if we've failed, at least we tried. And now we got to ask ourselves, what did I learn in the failure? What did I learn? What mistake did I make? What could I have done differently? Right? So this says, this notion has been fired at us. Right, we've become emotionally involved with it as well. So it says this motion has been fired at us from virtually every conceivable angle until most of us not only accept it as intellectually, but have become emotionally involved with it as well. The result is that we have been sacrificed on the altar of failure. The time has come for us to free ourselves, says Bob Proctor, from these mental shackles of the past. Let us begin this healing process by getting in touch with the wide variety of beautiful images that we have the ability to form on the screen of our minds. Then let us expect to receive the physical manifestation of each one of these images in our own lives. Y'all, I didn't test well, but I'm smart as a whip. But I did not test well. I don't know whether it's I got nervous when I went to go get tested. I don't always recall things right away. When I'm under pressure, I didn't test well. So if I had to listen to everything they said in school, I wouldn't be the prominent entrepreneur that I am today. I've learned more in the school of hard knocks through entrepreneurialism than I did sitting in school failing tests. So if we are able to see ourselves doing, being, or having something on the screen of our conscious minds, we are able to do, be, or have it on the physical plane as well. So you know what happened to us, Dr. Gloria? You know what happened, Deborah McCulley? What happened was we were taught to focus on the failure. We were taught that we were a failure if we failed. And so what happened is we stopped envisioning ourselves more prominent than we were because we thought because we had failed that we would fail at everything. It becomes a badge that you wear, right? Of failure. Failure. Well, I didn't do so well. Now I'm a failure. And what it made us feel like. So we stopped imagining all that we could become. We stopped imagining all that we could have. We stopped imagining all that we already were. We stopped imagining all that we could be because we expected, because we failed, that was life and that was the way it was going to be for us. And that is exactly what the enemy wants to do. He wants us to believe because we failed at something before that we're going to continue to be a failure moving forward. But if we are able to see ourselves doing, being, or having something on the screen of our conscious minds, we are able to do, be, or have it on the physical plane as well. The adage is true. What you see is what you get. And you know what they used to say? And you ain't seen nothing yet, right? What we see is what we get. So what do you see? We've been through 9 chapters of this book that reminds us of who we are already. That reminds us of what we've been given already. Abundance, already an heir, right? Already complete, already made whole, already made perfect. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't have room to improve, but if we are already abundant and we're already made whole and we already are perfect and all we got to do is act like it by what we see in our minds, not based on all of the failures that we've been through. What if the Wright brothers had decided, you know what, we failed? None of us would be able to go to and fro as fast as we're able to if they hadn't kept trying and trying and trying while the world was laughing at them. Let them laugh. Y'all ought to put in the comments, let them laugh. So now imagine, right, that we could be anything we want to be. What you see is what you get. Always look forward into the bright future that lies just ahead of where you are currently situated. Let them laugh. In this context, I'm not referring to things that you can see with your physical sense of sight. So it doesn't matter what the bank account looks like. You know what's amazing is I watch kids and I watch my children and I think that they used to just watch Barney all the time. And my son Julian, still to this day as an adult, if we go to Universal Studios, he gonna want to go and sit and watch a Barney show, right? Because it takes him back to that place when he first believed. Y'all remember a song that we sing, Take Me Back? Take me back to the place where I first received him, right? So when we take ourselves back, I see Dr. Gloria over there smiling, right? When we take ourselves back to that moment when we were like we had childlike faith. Go back to the basics when life wasn't so complicated. Go back to before they told you you would never amount to anything. Go back to before you felt like a failure because of all the things people said about you and the scars that we wear from our past. Go back to before you were divorced, when you thought that you were supposed to have the big house with the white picket fence and the dog and the cat and the swing on the porch with a lemonade pitcher on the stand. Right? Go back to before it felt complicated. Go back to before you felt like you could never do anything right. Go back to before grief set in and loss set in. Go back to that place when you used to believe and have childlike faith. Go back. So here we are. Rather, I'm referring to your creative inner eye. All of us have a creative inner eye, which enables you to see what can be. Not what was, but what can be. The creative inner eye is the magnificent part of your personality, which permits you to see into the vast reaches of the creative, non physical world where all life originates. Imagine this. There's a good book that I read. I don't know if you read it, but I'm not forcing you to read it. I'm just saying it's a good book that I read. And in this good book that I read, Dr. Vanessa, God said, let there be. And the moment he spoke, let there be, there was light, and there was dark, and there was water, and there was land, and there were animals. And he said, let there be. Now imagine he had to see that before it was actually created. All of us, in that same good book that I read, it says, write the vision and make it plain so that they that read it could run with it. So it's not enough to say, oh, I want to make a lot of money. Well, what is a lot of money? When you just say something like, I want to make a lot of money, the brain that has to now envision what it is that we want has no picture. But what is a lot of money? What is that? What is a lot of money to you? Because what a lot of money is to you might not be the same across the board. What do you want? And you got to write the vision and make it so plain that somebody that reads it could say, oh, this is what they wanted it to be. This is what they wanted it to look like. They wanted red over there and blue over there and stars over there and stripes over there and pink over there and purple over there. Y'all feel me? And polka dots over there. That's how plain it has to be. It has to be so plain that when you close your eyes, you can see it, you can feel it, you can smell it, you can almost taste it. That's what it has to be. So it says, the eye, the magnificent part of your personality, which permits you to see into the vast reaches of the creative, non-physical world where all life originates. The past, conversely, is the place where all life ends. The past is what? Where all life ends. You know, I was talking to my mentor today. We were on a call. He said, I'm sorry, our CEO said this today. He said, the fruit is the last thing to grow on a tree. Mary, I was sitting there like it was such a profound statement, something that we all know. But when he said it again today, the fruit is the last thing to grow on a tree. Guess what he said, Dr. Vanessa? He said, the fruit won't appear before the seed. He said, if you keep planting the seeds, the fruit has to appear because the fruit is the last thing that appears on a tree. So for all of us that think we missed the mark, if you've been planting, you didn't miss the mark. You're just waiting for the fruit to show up. But if you're sitting around waiting for something to show up from a seed you didn't plant, well, then you got to get the digging and the planting. But if you've been planting seeds, at some point, the seed will reap a harvest. But the seed won't ever show up. The fruit won't ever show up before the seed is planted. Everybody just put dig, plant, put plant, dig in the comments, right? And so this book says in the past, that's the place where life ended. Unfortunately, it is also the place, where 95% of the people spend 95% of their time, which is sadly also their life. For example, it is an accepted ritual in our culture for old friends to spend hours upon hours reminiscing on or harping on the good old days of yesteryear. Why do people spend more time talking about what was than what is or what's to come? You know why? Because they don't spend any time imagining. They don't spend any time coming together to talk about creative ways for you to move forward because too many people want to talk about I used to sling on the block. Who cares? Who cares? What are you doing now? Who cares? Oh yeah, I drop a lot of bodies. Who cares? What are you doing now? Nobody cares about that. And we spend way too much time now focused on what was, and it's a ritual. And I mean, you get together, and I mean, for hours. Remember when we used to? Remember when we used to? I don't want to talk about what I used to. We want to dig, we want to plant so that we can see a harvest, right? And I want people to come around in circles and we talking about dig, dig, dig. I don't want to talk about that stuff. Because what is that going to do for me now? Right? So this says it's a ritual. They spend hours talking about yesteryear and the good old days, hours upon wasted hours of precious present living time is squandered discussing people who are dead and gone or reflecting upon things which used to be but are no more. Oh my goodness. This is where people get real sensitive. They get real sensitive. When we talking about all the stuff that used to be and who it was, and this when people get real sensitive because they don't want to let it go. Many individuals spend their days collecting things from the past, antiques, as they are sometimes called. These people collect everything from old matchboxes to old antique furniture. Another large category of people consume the majority of their waking hours reliving negative past events in their minds. They spend valuable hours thinking of some past injustice which someone has done to them, or possibly about some unkind remark someone had once directed in their direction. They bemoan and agonize over past failures or missed opportunities which they somehow let slip through their fingers. They maintain such a negative vibration that there is not even the most remote possibility of a positive thought entering their consciousness. Let it go. Let it go. Let them go. Because it's not just letting it go, let them go. Some people sitting around mad at God. And you mad at God because someone you loved is no longer here. We got to let that go so that you can be free. Because there are people that are in the grave with the person that is no longer here. When I am certain, if you had an opportunity to talk to them, they would tell you, live, 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 and live their legacy. Live. Do what they couldn't do. Live. Live. Live and not die. Live and not die. Live and not die. Live and not die. I know that had to be said. So we agonize over these past failures, missed opportunities, and maintain this negative vibration, almost like you feel guilty for living. The only thing that this type of thinking will ever create is resentment and or guilt, both deadly emotional states. Until these poor souls come to terms with the fact that they themselves have been the authors of their own misfortune, and until they realize it is up to them to alter the course of their own lives, that they are doomed to repeat their past failures over and over and over again. As long as they persist in believing that the others are the cause of their problem, they cannot be successful because, of course, you can never successfully change anyone but yourself. To the extent that these people hold on to their false beliefs, they will continue to think in reverse, and you certainly cannot move ahead while your mind is traveling in the opposite direction. direction. We can't go anywhere looking in the rearview mirror. We must look forward. Take a good look at yourself. Could you be one of the individuals whom I've just portrayed? That's from Bob Proctor, not from Nina Moore. If you are, he says, I strongly suggest that you bring your mind to the screeching halt. Reevaluate your present position and re-examine your future goal. Look straight ahead and fill your consciousness with great and grand thoughts of what you ultimately can do and be. Become acutely aware of the direction your mind is traveling in, because ultimately that is the way that your life is going to unfold. So we are where we are because of how we think. Most times, especially those of you that are entrepreneurs or in business, you believe that everyone, the whole world is against you and nobody wants to buy from you. And if that is how we think and feel, you are absolutely correct. Because we cannot, what did we say earlier? We cannot outperform our current version of ourselves. And most people, all you got to do is let it go. Forgive, let go, stop living in guilt, and live. Like, just live and decide every single day I'm going to get stronger. Every single day I'm going to get better. We're going to talk about this the Polaroid camera analogy. I've often likened the human mind and the material world to a Polaroid camera and a photograph. Once you have snapped a picture, the course of that photograph has been incontrovertibly set. Although a short gestation period must elapse, the photograph must begin to appear, and it will do so exactly as it had originally been shot. To carry our analogy one step further, I would suggest that the shutter of the camera is like the conscious mind in that it is responsible for snapping the picture. The camera itself may be likened to the subconscious mind because it is responsible for doing the work. The photograph is the analogs to your results, and it is merely shows the physical replica of the picture that you have already taken with your mind. If you were to take a picture of the same object over and over again, you would do nothing more than reproduce the same photograph over and over again. Yet this is precisely the course that many people have set for their own lives. Many people have set for them. Constantly reminding yourself that if you persist in thinking in reverse, you will only produce the same results in your life over and over and over again. If you wish to change this pattern, you must look bravely into the future, which lies ahead, and see yourself already doing what you now only dream about doing someday. So what has to happen, and what my mentor told me just a week ago, what has to happen is that you have to speak as if the things you want is already done. So you have to speak it in present tense. You don't say, I want to earn $10,000 a month, or I want to earn $20,000 a month. You say, I am earning $10,000 a month. I have. You have to speak now everything you want in present tense. Speak it as if it already happened. And there's a good book that I read that says, speak those things that are not as though they are, as though they were. That's what it says, right? Basically, speak it just like I just said it, as if it's in the present tense. What is it that you want? Speak it and live. You know, what most people really, they're not, there's a lot of people that actually are not afraid of failure. They're actually more afraid of progress. They're afraid. Oh, thank you, Holy Ghost. They're afraid that if they move forward, they're going to hold on to, they feel guilty because you're alive. Maybe somebody has gone on before you. And if you move forward, you feel guilty about moving forward because that person is not here. So you figure if you just keep living like you're in a Groundhog Day, living the same day over and over and over again, that you now don't have to have guilt for living. Ooh. When you're still here, you got to live and not die. Because what good is being alive but being dead? Oh, because anything dead belonging to what? Anything dead belonging to what? Anything dead belonging to what? It belong in the grave. Anything dead belong in the grave. Anything dead belong in the grave. When a plant dies, you get rid of it. When food goes bad, you get rid of it. Anything dead belong in the grave. If you are alive, you ought to be screaming it to the mountaintop. And every day is a new adventure. And you let go and give yourself permission today to live and not die. And you ought to say it out loud, like, I shall live and not die. There's purpose in you. And you know what? I was on a call and a guy said, you ought to be grateful today that you were on God's attendance list. And when he took attendance this morning, you said present. So what good is it to be present and be laying around like we should be in the grave? You made it to God's attendance list today. And because we made it to his attendance list today, we owe it to him and we owe it to ourselves to live and not die. And what about the one person that might be sitting there waiting for you to wake up and act like you alive? To live and not die. Ain't no way we're going to know better and not do better. That we're going to take pictures and we're not going to keep rehearsing who we were and all the failures and all the this and all the that. No, from today forward, I shall live and fulfill my purpose and my work on the earth. And I'm grateful. And maybe if we start living life from a gratitude perspective, I'm grateful I'm on the attendance list today. I'm grateful you called my name. I'm grateful my hairs are numbered. I'm grateful I made it today. I'm grateful. And if we look at it that way, maybe, just maybe, we would stop living every day taking it for granted, like we supposed to be here. Live. So what Polaroid picture are you taking of yourself today? A picture of gratitude. That I'm here for whatever reason. I am here for whatever purpose. I am here. Whatever I got to walk out, I am here. Whosever's life I got to touch, I am here. And you know what? When we realize that our lives are not our own anyway, that we are not even here for ourselves, that we begin to live our purpose out because we know that there's someone somewhere that needs what we got. Everybody comment live in the comment. Comment live. We gonna live and stop rehearsing them failures. Live and stop rehearsing what they said about us. Live and stop. Come on. We gonna live. So we are not going to reproduce the same things, the same results. And if we wish to change this pattern, we got to bravely look into the future, which lies ahead, and see ourselves already doing what you now only dream about doing someday. We got a few more minutes. Patty's Cruise. Patty Moyer first came to my seminar with her parents when she was only 11 years old. By the age of 15, she was already speaking at seminars and sharing how a concept in the seminar had moved her from failing miserably in French at school to honors grades and in a relatively short period of time. 5 years later, she was working with me in the seminar business. One day, I noticed that her attitude seemed to be slipping badly, and it appeared to me that she was not enjoying herself one iota. The first telltale symptoms of an individual who is without a goal. So, did y'all hear that? Could it be you just ho hum every day because you don't have a goal? There's nothing that your brain is working towards. And so, because you have no goals, you're just getting up every day, living like you're not grateful, living like you're supposed to be here. You have not set a goal. And so now you're kind of ho hum. Ho hum. Because your brain doesn't know what to do because you haven't given it an assignment. Your brain doesn't know what to do. So you're sitting around, I don't know what you're waiting to get hit upside the head or something. You're waiting for the bed to spin or something to zap down on you to make you get up. To make you live outside of sitting around holding in God's purpose for your life. She says it's first, Bob Proctor said it's the first telltale sign that she had no goals. I asked her what she really wanted, and her immediate response was, well, what do you mean by that? I explained to her that since she wasn't working towards anything, she didn't have anything to look forward to, and this made life extremely difficult. Oh, how many of y'all want to go ahead and say ouch, hallelujah? She wasn't working toward anything. And because she wasn't working toward anything, it made life extremely difficult. Patty said, but I don't have any money, so I can't do anything. I reminded her that it didn't cost even 1 penny to want or to dream. A radiant smile suddenly came across her face, and she told me that she wanted more than anything else to go on a South Sea cruise. I said to her, that would probably be a lot of fun. I told her that I had done it a number of times myself, and I described how beautiful it was. I expressed my expectation that she would have a marvelous time, and I also pointed out to her that she would retain the memories from her trip for the rest of her life, and she could relive them over and over again whenever she desired it. At this juncture, I asked her what was holding her back. The same response was forthcoming: I don't have any money. This type of negative thinking had been crippling her by preventing her from undertaking something in her life she felt was very important, because she was focused, Mary, on what? I don't have any money. I bring this story up to illustrate that even though Patty was mature, had no ties, and had no real reason not to go on the trip, her own thinking was holding her back. She was thinking in reverse. She had thoroughly convinced herself it was a lack of finances that thwarted her desire. But that just wasn't the case. Whatever the real source of her frustration may have been, it was certainly holding her back from realizing her dream. Untold numbers of people are making the same error Patty made daily. And it is a great tragedy. Perhaps you have been perhaps you have been making the same error in your own life. And if you have, I hope Patty's story will inspire you to get moving in the direction that you wish to go. One day, Patty and I went to lunch together, and we had a very serious discussion. I said, listen, Patty, if you really want to go on a cruise, you must quit looking back or looking at what is. Because looking at your present results is a common form of thinking in reverse. You must start to look ahead and start applying what we profess in seminars. Go ahead and book your trip. Make definite plans. Don't give one thought to anything going wrong. Know that whatever you need for your goal to materialize will begin to be attracted to you as soon as you accept the idea that you are going to make definite plans to do so. If you need money, you will have it. I'm here to remind every single one of you. If you need money, you will have it. Money is not the problem. Our God is an awesome God who owns what? Do you understand that the mint is gonna press 7 something trillion this week? Yeah, in the United States of America, the U.S. Mint. Or they're gonna print over $7 trillion this week. Is there really a lack of money in the world, in the land? Is there really? Do you really believe there's a lack of money in the world when they can go print it? Do y'all really believe that? You listening to the media when people are still buying Lamborghinis and people are still buying $1 million homes and people are still buying Louis, Gucci, Prada, Balenciaga, and you really believe that there's a lack in the land? You really believe that? Do we really believe that? Because if we believe that, you've been watching too much TV. You've been watching too much. You're rehearsing that over and over and over again. If there's a lack in the land, why are the airports as crowded as they are? And flights aren't cheap right now. There's no lack in the land. But because you're sitting around saying I don't have the money, you're saying I'm broke. You're not broke. What does Les Brown say? You're experiencing a financial little thing right now, but you're not broke. We got to change what we say. You got to be very careful because in this season, you will have exactly what you say. And so the book says, make the plans. If you need money, you'll have it. It might not be all in one place. It might not be all in place until the very last moment. So the problem is that we don't believe that we can't do it. We don't believe we won't have the money. It's just because you don't have control over when you're going to have it. Well, you don't want to wait on it. Oh, come on, where's all my honest people at? We don't want to wait on it. We don't want to wait on God. I want it now, the way I want it. But if you see it and you believe it and you expect it, you most certainly will receive it. Here's the problem, and I'm gonna stop right here, and we're gonna pick up right here next week because I don't think. Let me see. Let me look at the time. Yep, 6:45. I know I'm not gonna finish the next few pages before we go into the next chapter. Here's the problem. This was so good. Here's the problem. Yeah, we're not gonna finish the next few. Let me mark it off so that I know where I'm starting next week. The problem is we want it right now, and we believe that we are waiting on God. So we're sitting around, Lady McElroy, and we're sitting around like doo-dee-doo-dee-doo. I'm just waiting over here on God. I'm just waiting on him. Do we understand that faith happens in action mode? Which is why the good book that we read says faith without works is dead. So while we believe we're sitting around waiting on God, just doo-dee-doo-dee-doo, I'm waiting on the sign, doo-dee-doo-dee-doo, God is saying, I can't bless you until I know what to bless. Get to moving. You won't pray for it. You won't ask for it. You won't write the vision and make it plain. Faith is an action word. Exactly, Carmen. It's a verb, an action word. And if you want God to show up, get to moving. So you're not waiting on, well, I need to have all the answers. No, you don't. No, you don't. You'll get the answers as you move forward. You got to be forward moving. That is why we can't think in reverse. That's why we can't think in reverse. So this was right on time. I don't know who all needed to hear this. This was right on time. And let me tell you what happens. Prosperity skips over people who are indecisive. Prosperity skips over people who are indecisive. My mentor says it on every class I'm on. Clear communication comes from a clear mind. I'm here to tell you right now, prosperity will skip over you if you are indecisive. You know why? You're praying for something that God is saying, I can't give you because you're not certain that you want it. Dr. Vanessa, God wants to bless you. He's saying, I want to bless you. I want to give it to you. But because you playing double dutch, you like this. You don't know. You don't know. You don't know if you're ready. You don't know yet. And he's watching you play double dutch. He's watching you straddle the fence. He's watching you. You haven't made a decision. And what you want is on the other side of your yes, your real yes. You know, we sing this song, I surrender all to thee, my blessed. And we cry, we roll over on the floor, we foam at the mouth, and we saying, I surrender all. And God is saying, all but your will. All but your will. Oh, you didn't surrender all. So I'm here to tell you, whatever it is that you want, when you get clear, when you get certain, because prosperity will not come to you if you're not certain. Wealthy people make decisions quickly. Type quickly in the comments. They make decisions quickly. Let me tell you what they say. Let me tell you why. You want to know why they make decisions quickly? Because they say that it's cheaper to beg your pardon if you actually made a mistake than to miss the timing. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Wealthy people say, if I mess it up, I'll ask for forgiveness. I'll say I'm sorry. But if I miss the timing because I said no, you never know when the timing's coming back again. Wealthy people, they make decisions quickly. And they make decisions quickly because they know if I made the wrong choice, I'll apologize. But if you miss the opportunity, oh, opportunities of a lifetime, they don't always come around. And when they do, you got to seize it in the season of its lifetime. So I don't know about y'all, but this blessed me today, right? I'm going to go ahead. We have another Show Me the Money call happening in about 40 minutes right back here on this line of 678-062-8230. I am so happy to have served you. Yes, don't let the door close on you because we don't know, Dr. Vanessa, when that window is going to swing back open. Oh, no, no, no. So don't let it close on you. And you know what's so crazy? Some people are standing right at the door. And you're going to let them put a padlock on the door. And you're standing right at the door because you straddling the fence and you can't make a decision. So I'm going to tell y'all right now, don't be that person. Don't be that person with the keys and then they put the padlock on the door because you took too long to make a decision. Wealthy people make decisions quickly because they would rather apologize than to miss the opportunity. All right. So I'm so glad we had this time together, right? Enjoy the rest of your evening and certainly enjoy the rest of your week. Listen, be kind to one another, do a good deed and pay it forward. Be nice to someone this week, right? Buy them a cup of coffee, buy them a tea, buy them lunch, hold the door, whatever the case may be. Let's spend some time paying it forward to someone else that just might need some love from us. They just might need a hug from us. They just might need to know that somebody cares, that God cares but God cares about them and he's using you to remind them about how much he cares. All right. And so I'll be back here on this same Zoom line at about 7:45 Eastern, which is 6:45 Central, because we got the Show Me the Money call. We got the Vision Mastery call tonight. Be sure to invite somebody back and invite somebody to next week's book club. We're almost finished, Born Rich. I don't know yet. I kind of believe where we're going next, hoping to be able to tell you within the next week or so what book we're going to be starting in the new year. I am Nina Moore. I want you to remember that God loves you. I love you. And there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Good night and God bless.